Welcome to your first day at the gym. Fucking should have learned this 20 fucking years ago, but we're gonna learn it today. It's better late than never. All right, guys.
You guys want to blow up your back? Saw I blow my back up. You want a mass building back workout? Try this. You want bulging lats? You want Tyrannosaurus traps? You guys want lats like Dorian Yates with half the work and half fucking genetics? You want to figure out how to not work hard, get big? You want, this is the shortcut channel.
I want a boom mic. I need you to hire a boom mic operator.
Anybody there?
Yeah. So I put up a video yesterday. No one will know what yesterday is when they see this. It was a video specifically about standing cable bicep curls, kind of outstretched, and appreciate people complimenting me on my peak, but my biceps torn, so not too impressive of a peak. No one's figured that out by now. What bicep is shaped like this? And yeah, so I kind of went into like, without getting like crazy in depth, went in depth enough to like get the point across, I think. But come walking into the gym today, whether the person watched my video or didn't watch my video, they're doing exactly what I said in my video in terms of like holding on to a pole, the opposite pole of like the cable stack, and using that as leverage for your curl, right? So it's just fascinating to me, and this is like not a knock on the person or anybody following stuff people does, but like you guys and girls that are watching people demonstrate things or trying to implement new stuff in your training, that's maybe a new movement for that person. You have to take stuff at more than face value. You have to delve deeper into what they're saying. So yes, you see the person standing there standing up, holding onto a pole, holding onto a cable, and curling it. But they're telling you specific things like, make sure your weight is this way. The whole reason of holding this pole is that I can create stability here. So me lengthening my arm and creating stability, I'm hanging off the pole so that I can create more length here. So this is almost like an extension of my hand if I was grabbing for the other pole, like reaching for something, right? And I'm able to curl. So this is never like loose or like bent or flexing, like, and that's why I said when you curl, when you go to pull, then you can start doing this, but that's because there's so much tension in the hand, right? So you're saying this in the video, demonstrating in the video, showing people like what angle their shoulder is supposed to be at, what angle their chest is supposed to be at. And it's almost like people, not on purpose, and I don't think it's like to be anything but just like they're not paying attention fully. It's just like you're missing 90% of what was said to you. Like maybe you're watching it with the sound off, and you're like watching like, oh, that looks cool. Oh, he held on to the pole for it. So it's just like, it's like, and like, it's just fascinating. Like you would never do that in real life. Like if someone was showing you something like visually in front of you and like demonstrating something to you, you wouldn't be like if you're showing me something, I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, I'm with that. Like, go do that fucking thing. It's like, you'd be watching and listening and learning, but it's like this detachment with video almost seems to like be like a very prevalent thing in this industry, where it's like you see people have good intentions of trying stuff they've seen or little cues they've seen or tricks they've been taught, but it's just something missing. And I think it goes back to like what we talked about before, and what we'll get back to in this video now, is just like this day one shit of like understanding your foundations and your setups on lifts. So if I have a great foundation of lifting and I have a great understanding of balance, like tempo, motion, all this stuff, it's easy for me to see or exercise someone's doing and understand what they're doing, because I can equate it to in my own mind or my own like preferences of way I do things, the way I set myself. I can be like, okay, like I can see that like they're pretty grounded in their feet, they're not really moving. Like I can see the first thing that breaks in this person's like is their elbow, like they're cracking. It looks like my arm just went like this, but it's really in my mind I'm thinking like elbow stabbing down, hand is pulling. There's a sequence to the movement, right? So I encourage people to like get back to like this foundational shit. So if you see someone standing there doing an exercise that seems advanced or seems like new or whatever, like it takes no time out of your day. Well, it does, but it takes minimal time for you to scroll back and scroll forth. Like scroll back, scroll forward, scroll back. Like see how the movement's like developing, especially if you're someone who really gives a shit. If you're a fair weather person who just works out, do whatever you want to do. I don't give a fuck. Like I'm not speaking to you. Like if you're someone who actually wants to make improvements in the gym and like do better and get a better physique, like this is the stuff you need to do. Because like it wasn't like ingrained in me. I wasn't born with this knowledge of what to do. Like I didn't just pop out of the womb and like I'm great at bicep curls. Like, you know what I mean? So I learned from people and I watched a shit ton of people train who I wanted to look like, or I emulated in terms of like their work ethic or whatever, right? Like I took the time to like literally stop videos because at some points we didn't have the internet. Like literally stop videos I bought of like Nasser training or fucking Jay training and like slow it down, like rewind it. Like why is he doing that? And why is like this so good for his back or his arms or whatever? Like what is he doing that I'm not doing? Because when I see him do this, I do this and all I feel is my shoulder and my hand go like this. So I had to like understand, like I have to see this break in this elbow. I have to see this snap, this initial grab and this initial slide. And everything else around that initial crack can be whatever it wants, really. I can exaggerate all this stuff I want, but I have to get that initial movement or this initial like shove out of pec. I have to get this initial back feeling, like boom, right? So it just comes over time. I just suggest like you're being given free information on the internet, especially when for me and from anybody else you follow who you deem to be worthy of listening to training, you're being given free information. So like just because it's free doesn't mean you should just like take it like just like as a grain of sand, like whatever. This looks like cool, you know what I mean? Like free is like trying to help people here, right? But it's like you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. Like we're leading you there, pointing to the water trough and being like, drink it. And you're literally looking at us like, what? That? I don't want to drink that. I don't drink water. Yeah. What the fuck is that? Film that. What the fuck is that? Guarantee you, I'd be willing to bet $10,000 that that leg press would look like absolute dog shit, no matter what. Whoever the fuck did that, like, anyway. So, seated shoulder press. There's tons of variations of shoulder presses in gym. This shoulder press is in like every LA Fitness and Good Life. Like, Hammer Strength fucking, they based their company earnings in 2018 on this fucking machine. It literally like went through the roof, right? Like independent handles that swivel. Oh my God. But the thing is, it's a good machine. But okay, so like when you guys set up for seated shoulder press, someone asked me in the day one comments, like how we do that. It's pretty fucking basic, guys. Like, I don't know how to, like this machine we'll show on another machine how it's a little different. We'll show just, you can't see my other arm, so it doesn't really fucking matter. If I'm setting up here, even if I'm with both, I'm sitting up here. I want to start in this tucked in position. So I want to be in this position when I take these handles off. Versus I don't want to be one of these people who gets this weight up here and then pitches their elbows back and does this. Like my elbow from this side view, my elbow is behind my hand. This is not a good place for my shoulder to be. With this torquing forward and this torquing back, I'm almost doing like a fucking rotation of like turning my rotator cuff forward, right? So the idea is on any shoulder press is to find this spot where my palm is stacked underneath my elbow, or my elbow is stacked underneath my palm, right here. And for added leverage, I almost feel like tension in my lat that's almost flared a bit and my back's arched. So this is a flat plane, right? So if I'm holding these both, I'm holding these flat like I'm holding a dinner tray. My weight is back in the bench. I'm not doing this. I don't need to be, when I do shoulder presses, I don't need to slam my head back or start here with my head back and go, like everyone who does shoulder presses gets this rigid neck like they have a fucking Viagra stuck in their throat. And they're literally fucking like, they're taught to like put their head back. It's like wherever your head, if I sit here right now, this is where my head's rested, comfortably, with posture. So I don't like sit like this. Or when I sit up tall, go, hi, Laura, like look like I'm possessed by a devil, right? So on this machine, the reason why it's so popular, one is because it feels good when you do it, and two, like it forces people into a position where they kind of do it right even if they fuck up. So even if they're these flared people and they're like flaring their elbows out and they get at the top and you see their trap up in their, like there's no distance between their neck and their head, it's just this, and then they come down and they come to a spot and they push. It's still like forcing them when they come down for this elbow to kind of kick and then they kind of roll as they go down, right? But the idea is for us that we need to understand, I don't need maximal depth on this shoulder press because once I take weight off and I set here, I'm holding the weight at shoulder level. I could start a little higher in the seat if I wanted, but as soon as I take this off, I'm squeezing into lats and hands are pumping here. So the balance and the rock is coming from my hand. So when I drive, I'm pushing out of lat and lower and tricep here and elbow. It's not a hand press. I'm not trying to push this thing up to the top. I'm trying to elevate almost by grabbing into like serratus and fucking extend up through my hand. So I want to feel that shoulder girdle to rock out and that hand push through. So when I drive out here, I also don't have to get up to the top and go boom and push up here. I want to be able to stay in this tucked in position here and rock and press. Press. Whatever height that happens to be, where the forearm, basically the upper arm, my bicep stays in place, my elbows push, my forearm extends right to where I get where the shoulder could pop out. I want to stop that press. So I want to be here and then feel that tension pull me back down into the girdle, like the depth of my shoulder, press up here. Push. You can do one arm too. If you want to do one arm, I would suggest that you don't go here. I would suggest that you set yourself up like you have to, and I would have keep the tension this side. So I'd almost pretend like I have weight here and allow this arm to move freely as opposed to going, you know what I mean? So it's just understanding like my feet are obviously in the ground. There's nowhere else they could be. I'm not doing the press like I'm laid on a beach chair, pushing out here. So I'm obviously feet under, hip tucked back, and I'm arched, and all my weight is back on this back pad. I'm not perched forward, and I'm not doing one of these where I'm like, you know what I mean? There's no need for that, especially on this machine. There may be on other machines that kind of get wonky, like this Atlantis one, maybe you'll want to get a weird angle on it, but it's like in general, as long as you understand that like when I'm here, it's not this, shoulder press is not this, it's this. It's tucking in and staying elbow under palm. And then extension of arm. It is not extension of hand. It is not extension of arm. So I'm feeling pressure on my palm and I'm pushing my palm to the ceiling like I'm high-fiving through extension out of my lat. So the pressure's down here, I'm still extending up. I'm not trying to get in a race of going, man, I want to get my hands as high as I can. And push them up, you know what I mean? So there's all kinds of different, what is this? Richard, if you're watching this, you don't need to confirm your session every time. I know when you're coming, man. Major development. Top secret news. Can't say it on camera. As you guys can see in this prime press, I'm literally forced to be in this position. The position we just talked about over there where like I could have pitched my elbow back. You'll notice if I'm on this machine or anything like it where it's like a true like on body, almost behind the neck feeling press, for me to be here on this, I'm already driving, the machine is going that way. So my full extension is behind my head. It's a behind the neck press. Everyone thinks it's a regular press. This is not a regular press, guys. This is not a normal angle for my arm. So you treat it like that, I don't know why, but you should almost think that like my arm extension is pressing back up through and then rolling, my elbow must stay forward in order for there to be a natural line that I'm pushing. I wouldn't be here and go, you know what I mean? Like it's counterintuitive. Like if I'm sitting here and I feel that the weight's going behind me, then I understand I can only probably push to about here and I can rock down and settle in here. So it's the same thing. I'm rocking out of lat, I'm holding down in here, and the push is just a little quicker. It's a shitty machine, to be very honest with you. Like I'm a fan of like 3 prime machines. And they're chest press, the row, and maybe like one other that I can't think of right now. No, absolutely not.
But definitely not.
But definitely not this one. So you'll never see me. I used it for a while, and I was like, it's like for bigger guys, it's not really like great because it's like I'm fucking fucked up right now. Like even if I start this here, I'm like, oh my god, I can get about this much range of motion before it feels like I'm like, ugh. My arm's gonna fucking hyperextend behind my back, right? So I was talking about this the other day with a certain person that will remain nameless for now. Just about talking about equipment in general and how I have strong opinions on different brands. And I just kind of made the observation that a lot of brands like say Panada or say Atlantis, Prime, whatever the fucking brands could be, Jim Lecco, it's like no one nails it every time. Certain pieces are very good. It's either very good or very shit. There's no middle ground. There's no like, oh, this machine's decent. Like it's pretty good. It's like, no, it's either awesome or it's like, what the fuck were they thinking with this? And this is one of those pieces. So it's like, yeah, it makes people feel good because it looks interesting, right? It's like, oh, it's got 3 prongs for weight. Look, I can adjust where the tension is and I can get up here and I can just drive up and back. Like if I slide myself down the seat, I get even more leverage and I can rock. And I feel this extension up here of like behind the neck pressing almost. But it's like, it's not really that conducive. If you were to ask me like what I think the best shoulder press is, I'd think that one that can sit in here, one where I can start in this position here, and I can tuck into my lats and I can extend my arms is what I'd want.
Isn't that the Viking press?
Yeah, the Viking press. But the thing is with the Viking, these people are asking me to like show how to set up on seated presses, right? Everyone has seated presses. You won't see me do them because I don't fucking like them. If you can talk to your fucking gym owner and ask them to get a fucking Viking press, whether it's Atlantis or any fucking brand, it doesn't really matter as long as the handles are wide enough. But like,
We still set this up for like a barbell?
yeah, but the thing is with barbell, the reason why the Viking press is so much better, and I'm by no means promoting this brand of Viking press because they don't give me any money, so fuck them. But these guys aren't even, this one. These guys are here. If I do this with a barbell, so say I do like people do, they set it up in the power rack. They'll put the bar against the power rack and they'll slide through the press in the power rack, which is fine if it's your only option for a standing press. That's just what you're gonna have to do. But the thing is with the Viking press, where this bar is here, so this bar is imaginary line now across me. I have to be here when I press this on a press, and I have to slide up through something forward and then tuck in here. Whereas I can be in my bar here. So my shoulders and my hands sets into my body more, I can drive up through my hands. So I don't have to fall behind the bar again and push through the bar. I can be here pushing up through. I can even set myself up to do a behind the neck so I can be back here and I can press even higher, right? So I have stability up through my body and I'm giving myself more balance because I'm breaking the midline of what would be the bar. So if this bar went straight across, I'd never be able to stand here while holding this. Because literally the bar would be choking my throat. Like in this horrible position. I can still be neutral here and drive up through and allow my arm to work on its own. So it's a better movement overall. If you guys can get a machine that does that or imitate it somehow, you can do it with standing dumbbell press if you really wanted, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. But for one more seated dumbbell press, even though we're gonna have to fucking go over here. God damn it. Okay, so welcome to your first day at the gym. Fucking should have learned this 20 fucking years ago, but I'm gonna learn it today. It's better late than never. Yeah, so dumbbell presses we did on the hammer, we did on the fucking shitty Prime press, did on the Viking. Viking's the best, obviously, if you have to choose. I usually get people, when I train people on shoulders, I usually warm them up on the Viking, just because it's like, kind of forces them to recruit the whole upper body on that and get like the actual shoulder, like girdle, the socket of the shoulder, like the way the shoulder sits and rolls. It gets the motion of the shoulder moving up and through things, as opposed to just like starting them on some stagnant press and like, like I want to get things driving up through the body and out. I want to get this kind of motion happening before I get into like isolating delts. I want to fill that area with blood, right? So another transition I would do off of that is I would get into like, I would almost pre-exhaust, fancy word, not real. I would almost pre-exhaust or try to like initiate blood flow to the area. And then I would come over and superset dumbbell presses with dumbbell flies on shoulders. So when I kick up dumbbell presses, like you guys and girls, I've seen so many variations of this that like I can't even imitate them. They're fucking horrendous. Some of them. So it's like some of them, most of them are like this kick up, and then it's like this getting stuff up here, and then it's like this break, like it's like these half presses, right? Like it's, you always have to tell people, like it's always cueing people to be like, just kick up and roll here. So this is like the simplest, easiest, like most comfortable way to get into a dumbbell press. I don't care if you have like 70s on there. Even if I have to kick up 70s and kick and get one here and kick and get one here, I can still roll out now because I'm locked in my mid back, and I'm locked down in my lats and my elbows, and I'm head here. So don't get here and go and think I have to push above my head. It's a shoulder press, so I gotta push above my head. It's like, you're still pushing above your head right here. I'm still pushing above my head when I'm sitting here. But I'm emanating press, like we said, out of elbow, trap, and lat, boom. So my movement, first movement is bang. And my extension comes through, right? So if I'm pressing both, I'm up through and then down. I'm gonna converge when I press. There's no need to do a shoulder press that goes. This is like, one, the stability of the shoulder is fucking compromised, and especially if you're getting to heavier weight. This like pressing and then wobbling and then catching like this. It's like, I just want to be able to settle every time. So I'm almost getting this retraction, and I'm settling and down and pulling into lats, firing lats off. So I want to feel lats pull down into my back here. I want to settle into here and lift chest, drive. And you'll see when I do this pull down, I can come to here and I can press again, but I'm going to go this. I want to pull, rock. So I never see this trap go, or this front delt go like that. I want to pull those traps and front delts down into lats. I want to fire out low from elbow and lat. Boom. So at the press, at the top, you see no trap. My trap's tucked behind me, and it still stays locked down, and I press through. Press. It's the same shit, right? So understanding that, and understanding that, like, obviously my feet are on the ground. Like, they have never not been on the ground for anything we've done in here. But like, if I'm pinned in my feet and I'm holding this position, this arch is easier to maintain here than it is if I'm like this. So if you guys kick the dumbbells up and then you're like what are my feet doing? Where, if my feet are here, my base of power is where? Probably like here. Even if I start here, I'm already being pulled out of my arch because my body doesn't want to arch anymore. Because it's hard to maintain an arch with like no help from your lower body doing this. Creating flexion here, creating tension here, pressing, right? So just don't be lazy with your upper body, your lower body. And understand that creating an arch on a bench, that was another question someone asked me. How do I create an arch on a bench? Tuck your feet under you, pin your hips down, and roll your shoulders back and lift your sternum. And physically arch your back, which is like the anatomical structure of your spine is like this. It's meant to go like that. It doesn't go like that. And it doesn't lean back and then go like just arch over the top. And this stays like flaccid. Do you know what I mean? Like we're locking down into a strength position, laying back down. My weight's now leaning back. If I need to scoot my bum forward and I need to set here, I'm still feet under me. Depending on your structure, your size, your mobility, I'm just pressing out of here, right? So understand that a lot of your overhead presses, seated, standing, whatever, they all start from here. It all starts by driving lat down, elbow down, squeezing into lat here, setting this feeling of shoulders being pulled down, shoulders being tucked behind me, and I'm in this position when I tuck and press. So my extension doesn't come from here, it goes, so I elevate my hands through a body that stays tucked down. The shoulder might rise up a bit when I press out and I rock up, and you see my shoulder rise, but it's the first thing to tuck back down because my hand is tucking, my elbow is breaking, my hand's tucking and settling down into my body. So I'm here again, and I'm ready to press again out of here like I'm being fired out of a cannon. Boom, out of here. So every time I settle here, it's boom, out, right? Don't think you're initiating movement from hand. Hand is just a base of power. So I'm tight in my hands. I'm ready to connect. I'm connected to the dumbbell, but I'm shoving away from lats, right?
We should have been taught 20 years ago.
Yeah. But, you know, pick it up and put it over your head is all you need to know, really. Celsius. I'm a sponsored athlete now. They don't know yet, but they sponsored me.